Hey, welcome to the Essential Matters podcast. My name's Joe.
And I'm Lucas.
And we have a health podcast here that we're going to kick off today.
We'll be talking about primarily health, things related to health, food, exercise, well-being,
lifestyle, everything you could
balance.
think of.
Yeah.
But I'll introduce myself a little bit. So we both actually graduated from U of M. He's in a health degree. I'm not. I'm engineering, computer science, but
Software development.
Yeah, but I like health a lot, so we're digging into that with the podcast.
Yeah, I just graduated from U of M with a bachelor's degree in biopsychology and neuroscience, and health and well-being is kind of my passion. I love it. Past 5-6 years, probably ever since I got to college, it's been probably one of my main things I would research in my free time. So really passionate about it and love talking about it. Love how these different things can influence our body and well-being. How eating certain things can make you feel, I think, is all super relevant in today's world and should be looked at more closely.
Yeah, see, with the free time thing, that's where I'm more like, see, school-wise, I wasn't health at all, but free time, I like to look at health stuff. I do not do computer science stuff in my free time. So, that's us. But we can go on a little bit history of our health and kind of what it means to us. We can talk about that first. So, I don't know if you want to start with that.
Yeah, I can start. The past 5 or 6 years, I kind of took health more serious. I think my first or second year in college, I gained a bunch of weight. You know, the freshman or sophomore 15, they like to call it.
Maybe
Freshman
25.
15. Maybe 25 or 30. But that's when I realized, like, you know, you got to look at it more serious. And I kind of honed in on how to lose weight and ways to do that. So early on when I was in college, I tried being a vegan. I was a vegan for maybe a couple weeks, and then vegetarian too. Vegan's really hard to do. Like, you gotta be really strict on, like, not even butter, eggs.
Wait, to pause there, why did vegan come up though, or vegetarian? Yeah. Were you just looking at like weight loss ideas, and that's one of the first things you saw? Like, what resonated you to go towards being a vegan?
Yeah, so I'd say, like, from a society standpoint, like, they like to term vegans and vegetarians as like healthy. And I will say, like, everyone, me included, that like when you first go on the diet, you cut out a lot of things in your diet, which is kind of the I feel good aspect. I'm losing a little weight. I'm not like eating certain things that may have been contributing to like bloating or weight gain. So I think, like, with my research, I just saw like, oh, like, people do good being vegan. It's something different. And I wanted to try it. So I did try being a vegan for a couple weeks, and super hard. Vegetarian's more easy. You can eat cheese and dairy products, just basically no meat.
Oh, so you were vegan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was vegan, like, I'd say strictly where I did not eat any like animal products or fish or anything. Yeah, for about 2 weeks. It was very difficult. So that's why I transitioned into being a vegetarian.
Okay. So you did a few weeks of vegan, and then you transitioned more to vegetarian because it was just too difficult.
And I will say, like, when I was doing it at the time, like, I really had to research, how do I get the most nutrients? Because one of the things being vegan, vegetarian, you're not consuming animal products. So how are you getting that vitamin B12? You have to supplement. That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
So, like, that was one of the biggest inconsistencies with doing that kind of diet lifestyle was my problem, and finding those nutrients, essential nutrients. And so I did that, vegetarian for a couple months, and I kind of got off of that. And then I more so transitioned into trying to eat more whole foods, basic things. I'd say maybe in the last year or two, like, focusing on like high quality food products is one of the big things. And then cutting out seed oils, trying to do intermittent fasting, just different things like that. And over the past couple of years, it's gotten way better.
Okay.
I would say.
So you're saying you were more vegetarian, vegan based, and then you went to animal.
Yeah, that was about 3-4 years ago. I would say I was vegan, vegetarian, and then got off of that because it just wasn't ideal for me personally. I know some people have success with it. But I would say like when I was vegan vegetarian, I wasn't eating the the highest of quality food products.
But you said you were feeling good at first when you first did it,
Definitely.
right?
Yeah,
Because you just
definitely.
cut out the processed foods, and
Yeah.
you so you had an initial like feel good factor,
Mhm.
which was like good feedback to feed into it. So you wanted to keep doing it more. But over time, did you start feeling not that
Yeah,
good? Like,
over time, I would say, like right at the beginning, you obviously I feel good. Like you see results, like I'm losing weight, I feel a little better. But I'd say over time, it was like I just felt sluggish and
oh,
tired, and I think that was the nutrient aspect of it. I wasn't getting all the essential nutrients, maybe my protein. I don't know how you're supposed to get all the protein on a vegan or vegetarian diet. So that's the thing. You get foods that are processed, like soy protein
yeah.
is like a big thing, but you get all these other ingredients in those foods that's just not good. It's not going to make you feel good. So I would say like a little time doing it, maybe a few weeks in, a month or two in, like I just wasn't feeling the best, and then I was like, this is not for me. But I tried it, and it was an interesting couple months doing it.
All right, so you felt better first, but then you found a lack of energy
Lack
once
of
after.
energy, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say ultimately at the end of the day, like I was just craving meat.
Oh yeah, you were craving meat the
Humans
whole
crave
time.
meat, and
Yeah.
I really saw firsthand, like, yeah, I want
Yeah.
meat.
Yeah. The whole time you wanted it,
I
it
want
wasn't
some.
going away.
I want a burger. I want some
Yeah.
chicken or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. Okay, so now you're more at an animal-based place, and
Yeah. Current day, I'd say I'm more animal based, focus on minimal ingredients, a lot of fruits, some vegetables, and protein being meat. And doing that kind of diet, dairy products, you're eating foods that have a few ingredients, maybe at the most.
but so many nutrients.
Ton of nutrients.
Yeah,
Like you
it's
look at
nutrient packed, but like you look at the ratio of like ingredients to nutrients, and it's just so nutrient dense. And
Yep.
these few ingredients.
Yep. And you feel the most satiated. I can eat a half pound or a pound of ground beef at one time, and I'm like, I feel really good.
Yeah, you just have some eggs, some ground beef, like we just did for lunch. Like we literally
Yep.
just had ground beef, and we had eggs, and we had pineapple, and you just feel great.
Yep.
Like you could have some milk or something, some dairy to go along with that.
It's really simple too. Like it's nothing crazy, but you can really make that type of diet. I don't even know if diet is the right word, but you can make that type of animal-based lifestyle like taste good. I put honey on my burger.
Yeah, I
and-
hate the word diet because diet entails that you're only there temporarily.
Right.
And I think you should be changing your lifestyle of food, not the short time span. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna do it for a couple months and then I'm gonna go back to what I usually eat, and that's a terrible
Processed
idea.
foods. Yeah. Yeah.
That's never gonna lead you anywhere. You have to find happiness in the foods you're eating,
Mhm.
not this is unhappy food and then this is happy food, and like you have this good and bad, and it's like there doesn't need to be a good and bad. Like it just needs to be like, this is your food.
What is sustainable?
Yeah, what's sustainable, and then it just make it taste decent. I mean, you can make all these foods taste good. Like
Yep.
it's not
Yeah.
hard. Like good food can taste delicious.
Yeah, it
Like-
can. Like I said, like honey on the burger,
Yeah,
a little salt, maybe some butter.
yeah.
And it's great. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, but
So yeah, that's kind of like my overview of the past few years where I'm at now. So let's talk about you. What is your past, let's say 5-6 years, maybe like when you started college, or maybe like
mine's longer even.
so
Because
before in high school.
my health journey definitely started even in like middle school, I would say.
So
Like, I had
how did
different health
you
journeys.
view health?
Yeah.
Like in your perspective, like maybe starting in middle school and then
Yeah.
going forward.
So it started when I was young, just like I had like weightlifting impression. Like my cousins, like they both weightlifted. So I would go there and they'd be lifting weights, and that was like my whole introduction to just teaching me entirely. I was in like middle school. I might have been in like 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah.
So they're teaching me how to lift weights. I had some really old weights in my basement, and I used to use those. Like me and Zach, we used to sit, and we were so young. We did not even hit puberty yet, and we were sitting there lifting. And we were just getting into that. I mean, I had a big soccer background my whole life, so running was always like a go-to. I did a little track even in like middle school. So, but that was like my first introduction, and like some OG YouTubers I was watching. Like one of the OG ones, I think his name is I forget his name. It's like It's not Boogie, because that's the bigger guy on YouTube. I
That's the
forget
bigger
the
guy.
guy's name exactly. He was a bald headed guy.
Yeah.
And he was the OG, like teaching you how to do exercises. And I was just learning how to do like curls and like not bend my back when I'm doing it, and
Proper
like
form.
use my arms.
Hmm.
Don't use your back to get it up, and
Right.
just like trying to learn like proper form when I'm young. And I mean, which is ridiculously hard, but I was using YouTube videos and stuff to learn it.
Yeah.
And I would work out in the garage. Like I had I ended up putting my weights out in the garage, and I ended up weightlifting a ton a few years later, like when I was at the start of high school, and I just put on a bunch of weight. Like I put on like 35 pounds in a summer. And just,
Muscle.
yeah, muscle and a little bit of fat. I mean, it has to be. I can't put on 35 pounds of
Yeah.
muscle in the summer.
Yeah.
I was putting on some fat too, a little bit. I mean, it wasn't really slowing me down. I'll tell you, like on the soccer field, I was steady.
Cooking.
I was still cooking. It did not matter. I put on
Yeah.
30 pounds, and I somehow didn't get slower.
Yeah.
I just got like a little bit tougher. And yeah, I was just doing a lot of like compound lifting and in my garage, because all I really had was a barbell and like some little dumbbells.
Hmm.
So I was just doing big compound lifts, cleans, bench press, squats, deadlifts, like everything.
So what did your diet really look like at the time?
Oh, my diet at the time, jeez.
Or what kind of
Louise.
foods did you
Okay,
eat
so
primarily?
I'd say like definitely when I was in middle school, wasn't thinking about diet. It's
No,
more so
who
when
is?
when I first got into when I really got into weightlifting, I was seriously doing it like multiple times a week, multiple times a day actually at some points, because I was in big trouble all the time at that time. Like, so I was kind of stuck in the house, and I would just I'd be bored, and I'd want to do 2-a-days.
Yeah.
So I'd bench that morning. I literally going to bench in the afternoon, like, and I would go out there and I would do that. But for food wise, it was as many calories as I could eat was the goal.
So
it didn't really matter.
Heavy calories.
Yeah, I
Whatever
didn't
food
care
you could
what
eat-
like.
you could eat.
Sure, I wasn't trying to smash a box of Oreos. I try to keep it reasonable. Like, I wanted a lot of protein. I know that, so I'm going for chicken. I'm going for. It's honestly a lot of chicken, but maybe some actually hamburgers. But it didn't really matter. Like, I would smash. I remember the first night, like, I made a change and I knew I was gonna gain weight, and it was like I made a conscious decision. I went into my kitchen and I just started eating everything, like it was a granola bar. It was all processed foods. Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
cooking anything,
Yeah.
but I grabbed all these processed foods and was smashing them and eating granola bars and this and that, and like I was like, I need to gain health or gain weight. And so I did that. It worked. I was able to eat thousands and thousands, 3,000 calories minimum, I mean, a day, but for sure up high.
So was that like pretty consistent from like start of middle school, in middle school, and then throughout high school, kind of lifting weights and
No,
trying-
I only went to hardcore weight gain for maybe like 4 or 5 months.
Mhm.
It was like a summer. Like, it was a whole summer. So maybe even only 3 or 4 months. Cuz then I remember school started and I couldn't eat the same. I couldn't bring that amount of food to school. I couldn't get the amount of food I needed. Like, so my stomach shrunk up a bit, and then I wasn't lifting weights as much because my stuff was in the garage.
Yeah.
So I wasn't as consistently out there, but I would still intermittently lift weights and stuff. But that went there. I mean, there was really just that. I mean, I kept playing soccer, doing stuff.
Soccer, running.
Yeah, I know I got out of high school and I definitely didn't do anything at first for like the first few years. I did not exercise at all. Like, it was bad. I remember it was like a year after and I just hadn't exercised, and it was like, ugh. So then I started exercising a little. Definitely did no nutrition focus still, really. I don't eat absolutely miserable, but like, I'm definitely not eating clean.
Wasn't a primary focus.
No. And I was doing that, a little bit of exercise here and there, and I was fine all throughout college doing that. Like, at Michigan, I used to go to the gym. I'd run. Even at Michigan State, I ran a lot there, actually. But it wasn't until I graduated college, and then it was like a year after, and I was exercising intermittently, but
Yeah.
drinking on the weekends and sitting at a desk a lot, like for work, and then just like eating the same garbage that I was already eating. And it just like put 25 pounds on me so fast, it wasn't even funny. Like,
So
I
this
never
is
had
what-
that before.
This is within the last like year, maybe year and a half.
Yeah, I think it was
2
like
years.
last fall is when I made the change to like big new change on nutrition and exercise. I dedicated more to exercise, but the big thing was nutrition.
Like some more research. What is optimal to lose weight, be, really healthy, like whatever that subjectively means to you.
Well, for me, the
Feel
main
good.
change I went into was just I put myself to one rule. I was like, cut out seed oils. Don't eat seed oils.
So what led you to seed oils, like cutting that out? Like how did you make that decision, or what led you to, I don't want to eat any seed oils. Seed oils are banned.
Internet research, both of those basically. It was just internet research and you. I mean, I found out, like, I didn't even know that seed oils are necessarily bad for you. Like, I didn't know about the distinction between like olive oil and like a cheap oil, like a soybean oil, or like a sunflower oil even, or a canola.
Yep.
Like, I was under the impression that like a sunflower canola was fine, and that like so was olive oil. But like I didn't eat soybean oil. I mean, I did. It was in all my processed foods. I didn't cook with that directly.
Mm-hmm.
But then last fall, I made the change to like I'm not going to cook with this stuff. I'm not going to eat this stuff. I'm going to eat strictly like olive oil, maybe some avocado oil. It's fine.
Yeah.
But that's really it. Like beef tallow, like if you can find that, most stuff's not cooked with beef tallow. But if it is, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was a big change, and that basically just led me to cutting out all processed foods. Like it was insane.
Yeah. So when you cut out the seed oils, you're in the grocery store, and then you start looking at ingredient lists, and you're like, wow, like all the foods I used to eat maybe contain seed oils. They're processed, and they can not only contain seed oils, but they contain a multitude of other ingredients that I probably don't know what they mean. They're MSGs, like, are addictive to the brain. Like all these other ingredients that come along with the seed oils also play a factor. And so cutting that out, I think, really makes a huge difference in how you feel, and then what kind of decisions you make going forward with the foods that you're buying and eating at the end of the day.
Yeah, it cut out. It made us go to Whole Foods basically. It changed us into a whole food diet. Like we thought we ate decent before even. Like I used to eat Cheerios. That's a perfect example. I ate Cheerios because Cheerios are a healthier cereal than a Fruit Loops or anything like that, right? And sure, from a macro standpoint, it is. But when you look at the ingredients, I mean, it's just not. It's not good. It's just it's grains that are sprayed with tons of pesticides and all this stuff. And I mean, I guess they don't have seed oils in Cheerios, so that one actually was a little bit longer. I didn't cut that out right away. But yeah, I went out to cutting out seed oils, and it cut out most of the processed food. Like Cheerios was one that hung around because it didn't have a seed oil in it.
Yeah.
But so it started out with the seed oils, and then I basically moved to just cutting out other stuff like artificial sweeteners, things that probably are sprayed with glyphosate,
going into organic, non-organic.
Yeah. So then I went towards more organic fruits.
Talk about meat, for example. So when you switched over, like just changing over from like just a regular pound of ground beef to maybe higher quality, go into like grass-fed, grass-finished meat, stuff like that, organic, grass-fed, grass-finished. Yeah. Because there's a huge distinction when it comes to proteins like that, like chicken, any sort of protein like that. There's a difference in quality.
The first thing that I tried to do was basically just like incorporate more meat was the first thing. So I would go double patty on a hamburger, and then like maybe half a bun, or like I changed buns to a sourdough bread because it's less carbs and less bready. Like it's less bread.
Well, the ingredients of a standard hamburger bun versus two pieces of sourdough.
The ingredients are wildly different.
It's a fermented bread.
Yeah. So I did that, just incorporate more meat, more protein, and then I moved towards like quality of protein in terms of like, is it grass fed? Is it not? Like, what's their feed? Is it organic? Is it a pasture raised chicken? Non-pasture raised. And then we amped up the quality of the meat as well. So then we're just eating more meat, eating more quality meat, more quality dairy products in general, like dairy and all that. And then just like, I moved to cutting out all of the artificial BS, basically, and lost all the weight I had put on doing it, and even a little bit lighter than I was before. I mean, in the whole time, which is crazy, I was eating so much food. It's not even like I cut my calories. I actually would argue I might have increased my calories. I swear to God. I might have increased my calories because I started eating double patty burgers and stuff like that. I'm not sure. That'd be interesting to look at, but I was eating tons of food and I'm lifting a ton. I was lifting a ton. It was the
Yeah.
middle of the winter. It was fall going into winter. I was
Yep.
lifting a lot of weights. I really made sure I was dedicated to the gym, and I still was losing weight. It was insane.
No,
And
I can definitely agree on that. From like my like journey, when I kind of switched over to more animal based, higher quality products. So really focusing on fruits, vegetables, some vegetables, higher protein quality and content. I would say that the amount of food that I ate increased. I would feel the most satiated. I would feel really full after I ate. I would eat multiple times a day, like big meals. I'd eat huge meals, and I wasn't gaining weight. Like I was really gym focused, exercise, eat quality foods, get 10,000 steps a day just to make sure I'm active. But yeah, I would also agree. I think the food intake really increased, but like it doesn't feel bad. I would say. Like
no,
say you were eating like your typical way, like middle school, high school, like kind of processed foods, not the highest quality proteins, and you ate the way you did then, like the difference and how you feel, the weight you gain, I think is huge. So yeah, definitely the amount of food I intake is super high.
I think what happened, it didn't matter about my calories that I ate. It was that my metabolism was healed. I like healed my metabolism, and I like my metabolism was starting to slow down. That's what was happening,
Yeah.
because I had like the same metabolism my whole life, so I could eat this like garbage processed food, and my metabolism wasn't getting messed up yet from it. I think eventually, like it when I graduated college, I'm maybe not moving as much. Like the
Slow
metabolism slowed
down.
down,
Yeah.
and with the combination of all those foods, and it sent gave me weight gain, and it wasn't good. I mean, I was getting comments for the first time. I was literally skinny my whole life, so skinny my whole life, and I was starting to get comments from people. Like I went to a funeral and like there was 6 people that commented that I had weight gain. I was like, dude, I put on 25 pounds, guys. Come on. I was like, people put on way more weight all the time, but
But the fact people were saying something, it was like the conscious thought in your head, like, well, like maybe I am a little heavier, or maybe I need
yeah,
to change something.
no, it put the conscious thought
Yep.
in my head like, oh wait, maybe I do need to change something because this could just keep spiraling.
Yeah.
That's all that could happen. So I was like, okay, I'll change something. Get in the gym more, change the diet. I mean, make a hard change and slowly make changes over time. And then, I mean, now I'm feeling great. So,
One thing I want to ask is, what did what about your sleep? How did your sleep change from maybe like end of college, right outside of college, you start working, and you're still like you gain the 25 pounds. What does your sleep schedule look like at the time too? Because sleep plays a huge role in health and well being.
yeah. So, sleep was something else that was definitely interesting to think about. So, it was in college, yeah, not good sleep. Definitely like out late at night, drinking a lot. Which interestingly enough, I was moving around, so maybe it counteracted it. And I don't know, I was fine. I mean, obviously it's side effects, all this stuff, but I wasn't
Yeah.
gaining weight at least. But I know I graduated college, and my first year of work, I was like staying up way too late on my phone, stuff like that, and that's probably what led to some of the weight gain too. It wasn't just food. It was me being up till like 2 a.m. on my phone, and that just not being good for your body either.
Right.
So when I did make the change in terms of nutrition, I did start to shift the sleeping too,
Yep.
because I was dedicating myself to the gym more, and then in order to get to the gym, I had to like go before work at like 6 a.m. So I had to get good sleep.
Yeah.
So then I emphasized the sleep more, and it just kind of all went hand in hand, like the nutrition, sleep, and exercise. And it was like this trifecta
Yeah.
of like, wow, I feel good. Wow, I'm looking great. Like, wow, I'm losing weight. Like, this is great.
Yeah, I sleep was one of the big things. And I think it all happens like collectively, like, you change the diet, the nutrition, you go to the gym more, and then you're like, oh, I can sleep more maybe, and that'll really increase my uh, benefits, the promotion of your health and well-being. So yeah, I think definitely sleeping more, getting a steady at least 7 hours, I think is important. I when I was in college and like the early days studying, I used to think like, yeah, I could get by on 4 hours, maybe 5 hours of sleep. And really like after a lot of time doing that, it just like it builds up and you just don't feel good after a while. And you realize 4 hours is just nothing. And your body doesn't have enough time to recover. So that also goes hand in hand with going to the gym, building muscle. You want your body to recover and build muscle and stuff. So yeah, sleep was another big thing for me as well. Really promoting bodily rejuvenation and cognitive function in the brain.
Yeah, definitely for me. But yeah, that's really where, I don't know, my history lies in terms of that. Now I'm here, so, but I just keep trying to learn more, and I've learned a lot. And that's kind of why we started the podcast in the first place, was because like over the last year and on way longer, like I've watched health videos on the internet for so long. We've just learned a ton. Like I have information in the back of my head from when I was in early high school from some of these guys, and I have some of the newest Huberman information on the back of my head. I mean, we've collected different knowledge from so many different, sources.
So many different sources that I think differ from what society tells you. And I think the difference is not focusing so much on the diet and how to like hone in on one specific thing, but like all the things that we've learned, like it's really a balance of everything. Like my mental well-being, how much stress I have, seed oils is one thing, but like just trying to get like an 80-20 ratio, like 80% of the time, like eat as good as I can. Then 20% I'm free. Like I'm out living my life. I want to have a good time, and having that ratio. And I think for me, looking at it, like everything collectively like plays a role into just overall well-being and feeling good at the end of the day. I feel great. So one of the things that I think like current day that we share is like the way we eat. So I think like the way we eat now, and we've kind of said it already, is kind of animal based, animal focused, fruits, vegetables, just eating really like whole foods. I think that we both share like kind of the same lifestyle and well-being.
Yeah, and we just talked about a little bit more, something I didn't touch on in terms of our like history was another thing I took on when I changed the weight or changed my nutrition was after I weightlifted there for a few months, like we decided both together to take on a half marathon.
Yeah.
So I've run long distance forever, but it was mainly like 5 miles and stuff like that, 3, 4, 5. I've done more. I've done 6, 7, up towards 10 was my max before, but that was kind of rare. I usually hovered around 5 miles. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do races ever since I was in high school, really, in track. I did one race in college when I was at U of M, but it was a 5K and it wasn't that serious. So that's something we took up in our journey was running a ton, and that was in the middle of the winter up here in Michigan.
Yeah,
so that was really tough to do, but we did it. I mean, we had the marathon. What was that? June 1st? June 4th.
Yep.
Yeah, so we did the half marathon then, and it was so hard, but it was so worth it. Like we put so many miles. I remember I was on the treadmill in the middle of the winter putting in the mileage, and then we got to get outside eventually, and I ended up coming to race day, and it was beautiful weather.
Yeah, but couldn't have asked for anything more.
Yeah, so that was also like in the journey. Like we went from weightlifting more to cutting down. Like during that time, I was definitely only weightlifting once a week.
Yep.
At most. At one point, I stopped weightlifting, and I was just running, getting the mileage in. And I remember the first thing we did when we signed up for the half marathon was like we were like dedicate Sundays to long run day. Yeah. We heard Huberman say it. We heard Huberman say that he likes to do his long cardio day on Sunday. And we're like, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. So we did the zone 2 training on Sundays, and I started out with like 45 minutes. I went up to an hour, and then I ended up pushing up towards like an hour and a half, hour 45 at times. And some of these times they were on the treadmill, doing an hour and a half, which in the middle of the summer is really tough to think about. Yeah. But we did it, and yeah, I mean, it was great. I went so hard when the actual time came to run, and that's probably what contributed, to the weight loss too. But I already had a lot of the weight loss before I started doing the running?
Yeah. I would say like the time we decided to do the half marathon was like we were thinking about doing something in January. I think January we're like, what's some kind of race we could do, some kind of competition.
Yeah,
I think.
competition.
And like we thought about like doing a race like a half marathon, maybe like a triathlon or something like that. But January we were thinking about it. February I think is when we signed up for it. Sometime in February. I
Yeah,
think
you're right. It was February.
we signed up for it, and it was like commitment. Like we were committing to June 4th. We're running this half marathon, but signing up in February just I don't like it's not a lot of time if you really think about it. It might seem like a lot of time. You got a few months to train, but being in winter and not having the ability to go outside, like you really have to find a way to train optimally and get those miles in. Getting the miles in was so important in training because coming to race day, you want to race your hardest, your fastest, and you have to run 13 miles. So yeah, we made that decision in February. Dedicated Sundays to doing the long run, zone 2. Over time, kind of shifting, going to the gym. I personally went to the gym like maybe 3 or 4 times a week, like actually lifting weights and kind of cutting that down to maybe like 1 day a week, doing like a whole body thing, touching on each muscle group. And it was an overall success in my opinion. I think in your opinion too. You kind of exceeded expectations with the race time.
A little bit. I think I got a 740 average, and
Yeah.
I don't know what my goal was before. I think it was I wanted under 8.
Yeah,
But my real goal would probably be like a 730 if I could push that even 10 seconds faster or even towards a 7.
yeah,
But with the training time we had, and I hadn't exercised really like that hard in years. Like
yeah,
I was happy with time for half marathon for 13 miles. I
yeah.
mean, and we were going uphill, downhill.
Yep.
It wasn't just a flat track. So 740, I wasn't mad with.
There's a lot of uphill. Just a little context with the race. We were together for the first 6 or 7 miles, I think it was, and we were running a 7:30 pace. That was like our pace. We were running each mile was 7:30, and I kind of slowed down a little bit around mile 6 or 7, and Joe kept going. My foot started to get a little numb, and I think that was just maybe from lack of training. I don't know. Like I trained a bunch, but I feel like if I had more training, like I could have maybe got around that. But I slowed down a little bit. Joe finished with around like a 7:40 minute a mile pace. I ended up with like an 8:10 pace, which is still really good. My goal was to be under 9 minute a mile.
So you exceeded that big time.
Yeah, but like really like running the first 6 miles together, like we were feeling really good and it was fun. There was a lot of uphills, which did contribute to the slowing down, I think. But yeah, it was an overall success, and it was something we spent a lot of time training for.
Yeah, that's probably another thing that contributed to like fixing my metabolism a bit. Actually, was the running though, because I know zone 2 cardio. That's like one of the nice things it does. It really helps maintain your metabolism and get it kick started and stuff. I mean, cardio in general, walking in general does that, but zone 2 cardio like does that like no other. Like you can just eat as much food as you want. Your body will just eat it like a machine. Yeah.
High metabolism. Yeah. So that's kind of like recent history where we've been at with lifestyle, diet, exercise, and going forward, it's really I feel like we can do anything like competition wise and
going forward. I was thinking this idea I've had recently is I might want to partake in jiu-jitsu this winter.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be interesting. I don't know. I see a lot of the fighting things. I see like Santa Cruz Medicinals, like he goes out and does jiu-jitsu. I see Mark Zuckerberg doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That'd be something interesting to do. And there's a place down in Plymouth that does jiu-jitsu. I mean, there's tons of gyms everywhere, but I don't know. That's something I'm potentially looking into going forward, competition-wise at least, and like a next like little journey.
So like actually like competing against people.
I don't know if I'd compete ever, but
Or
at
just,
least
like,
going to
really-
class.
yeah,
At least going to class. I don't
what to
care.
do.
I don't have to compete, but at least going to class and like learning that and doing all that. I also want to like this winter get into like a really serious weightlifting routine in terms of like getting in weightlifting like 4 days a week and focusing more on like hypertrophy compared to power, strength, or anything else, which is usually what I focus on, is more like strength. I go for higher reps, lower weight.
Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe going towards like hypertrophy or jujitsu are like kind of my next two options in terms of winter stuff, at least. And then when the probably do the half marathon again next year. But
yeah, I would do a half marathon again for sure. That was
yeah,
really fun.
But one of the other things I did when we were like on my little health journey this year, not little, it was big.
It was huge.
My huge health journey this year. I got one of these Garmin watches, which we're not sponsored by Garmin or anything, but we just wanted to, mention wearable technologies.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the thing I went for. This is a Garmin Fenix 7X. Yeah. So it's got a little like flashlight on it and all this cool stuff. Tracks miles, does all that. But it does a lot more than that, which is the cool thing. So, it does sleep tracking.
Yeah.
It does HRV. It does respiration stuff, which is really cool. It does a lot of advanced running dynamics. But I always had a Garmin before, but it broke. It's like flashing. The one you have. Yeah. Yeah. The one I gave to you. So I picked this one up because, and this one around the same time when we signed up for the half marathon, because I wanted something.
So
to
you picked
track
it
my
up
mileage.
because you needed a new Garmin one, and then also everything it offers was kind of just promoting everything you were doing at the time too.
Yeah, it was just a way to summarize it all. Like I was doing so much, and I was like, I just want to like summarize it all with some stats.
A lot of data.
I want some numbers. Yeah, like I'm a data guy. I'm a computer science guy. Like give me some numbers.
Yeah.
So now I have this thing on my watch that provides me a lot of useful numbers that are interesting, and then I can see that over time. Like I could see the VO2 max gains, like what my VO2 max is over time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which they're all estimates. All this stuff is estimates, but it's pretty awesome. And yeah, I don't know. What you want to talk about, the ones you've experienced?
Yeah, so the past couple of years, I've looked at a bunch of different stuff. I started out with an Apple Watch. An Apple Watch was cool for what it offered. You can look at steps, and if you wore it to bed, if you had enough battery life, was the biggest problem with it. You could see how it could track your sleep and stuff, and really just record like exercise in general. And then from the Apple Watch, it actually broke on me, so I couldn't really use it anymore. So I got a Whoop. Whoop is really cool. It's just a wearable technology armband that goes around your wrist. Doesn't tell you time or anything. But it was cool. The biggest thing that I liked from the Whoop was it tracked my sleep. And seeing like your sleep score the next morning. How did I sleep? How did like drinking alcohol affect my sleep? How did a big day of exercise affect my sleep? And how did I feel the next morning compared to that score? Was cool to see. So I had the Whoop for a while. The problem with the Whoop was you pay for the technology, the app. So I think the price is like $300 a year or something like that.
That's ridiculous.
And you have to pay that every single year. And it's just for the band you get around your wrist, and the app you can see all your data in.
There's no display on the band though, right?
There's no display on the band, so it's not a watch. It's just something that's tracking your heart rate, your sleep, exercise maybe. But it was cool at the time to have. Really, it was just a membership that made me cancel it. I was a poor college student, so I couldn't really afford it. So I ditched that, and I've really been looking for something ever since. And you've had the Garmin. The Garmin seems like it offers a lot. You get the watch face and everything that comes along with it.
But you're using the Garmin now, the old Garmin.
Yeah, I'm using the Forerunner Garmin now that you gave me. And it's still good. Like it tells me the time, which is cool, and I can track some of the runs. But that's really about it. Is like it was good for training in the marathon.
Yeah, that's a basic Forerunner.
Really basic. Like now the new ones, like you can track steps, you can track your sleep, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But I think the wearable technology is super, super useful in promoting everything you're doing, because you can look at a period of time early on in your journey of health and see what you were doing at the time, your numbers and stuff, and going months forward, how your numbers compare. And
well, that's the coolest thing. It's when you wear them for a really long time and then you compare stuff. When you like see graphs over 6 months and stuff is when you start to see like big shifts and stuff, which is really cool. But there's the Aura ring too, which I've heard really good things about as well. It's just a little ring. Yeah,
my roommate Grant had an Aura ring and he really liked it. They send you a sizing thing to look at your finger. That
Yeah,
you wear
because
it on.
everybody's finger's different.
Everyone's
it's not like the
finger's
watch
different.
where you can just
Right.
like pull it over. Like you got to resize the ring or something.
Yeah.
But I don't understand.
So the Aura Ring is another thing, like the Whoop. The Aura Ring, I believe you pay like a $300 upfront fee, and then it's like $6 a month is what you're paying. So you pay a lot up front, but like it's like a Netflix subscription, let's call it, every month, which is not too bad in my opinion. I kind of like that more than the Whoop, than paying like a $300 fee every month or every year.
Every
I mean,
year. Yeah.
and I've heard really good things about the Aura. Like the statistics it acquires, I think is all like really accurate. So I've thought about getting it before.
Well, I know one thing they have on the Aura that I wanted in the Garmin that I do have is the airplane mode, which is good. So I have an airplane mode, and that's one of the big things that swayed me towards this Garmin was the airplane mode, and Aura has that as well, which is nice because I don't want the connection and the EMFs going all day.
Yeah.
So I ideally would go towards something that doesn't have the EMFs coming all day through you, like the Apple Watch and other things. Maybe the Apple Watch you can go airplane. I don't think on the actual watch. Maybe I might be wrong.
I'm not sure.
But a lot of the wearable technology doesn't have airplane mode and stuff like that. So it's always producing EMFs all day. Like whether it's through the Wi-Fi or through some Bluetooth or something, it's constantly going.
Yeah.
And when I'm on airplane mode, like my thing's not connected to Wi-Fi. It's not connected to my phone. It's not connected to anything. It's just gaining all the stats. I'll turn it off airplane mode to do the data syncing. That's fine. And then I'll turn it back off.
Yeah.
Because I don't need something on my wrist that's just emitting EMFs the whole entire day. Cause
Yeah, I agree. That's just to relate. I have not. I keep mine on airplane mode too, but at least with my cell phone, I have the cell phone never in my front pockets.
yeah,
Is something you don't want to have your cell phone by. I always keep it in the back pocket if anything, and then during sleep turning it off or putting it in airplane mode to kind of mitigate those waves, those EMFs.
yeah. I try to be conscious of it, not putting it in my pocket for like the temperature increase, for like the fertility reasons.
Yeah.
Which I guess I can mention that. Like if anybody doesn't know, like Huberman has a famous clip in like his episode about fertility that if your phone is in your pocket, like the temperature increases. I'm not sure the exact numbers on it, but there is enough temperature increase near your thighs that it can have, fertility effects. So I'm not sure exactly how serious the fertility effects were, but regardless, like I don't think it's in your best interest to probably have like some big device that's producing a bunch of EMFs and high temps and stuff in your pocket all day. And even past all that stuff, it's good to have your phone not attached to your hip at all times and attached to your butt and always by you and by your head when you sleep.
Yeah.
Like this thing follows you around all day, every day, like it's a pet.
Right.
Like just have it somewhere else and use it when you need it. Like it doesn't need to follow you around like it's a pet that you have to monitor it all day.
Yeah, kind of detaching from the cell phone.
Yeah, detaching.
Not worrying about what's going on Twitter or any
Which is
social media
is
apps.
all part of health, like
Yeah.
which is exactly what we're trying to talk about here and give out some good messages, some good knowledge and good tips and motivation maybe for people because I know I definitely get, motivation and stuff like that when I see people online talk about their experiences.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing like starting this health podcast is I'm always constantly researching, trying to find ways to be better, and a lot of times just finding out information. I'll share it with Joe, and because I think it's cool and relevant and useful in our lives. So starting this health podcast is really cool because all the stuff that we learn and experience and see, stuff that we find out, we can share it. Maybe it'll affect somebody's life. Maybe someone will do something different.
Yeah.
Maybe someone won't carry their phone in their front pocket after listening to this.
Yeah, literally. I mean, you share it out, and I mean, it doesn't even matter. Let's say you get 1,000 views, and you just make one change, and one person. Sure, 1,000 people viewed it, but you got one person to make a change. So that's pretty cool, even in itself. And that numbers can scale out, and you could have 10,000 views and make 10 people's life different, or whatever.
Right.
I don't know, whatever that ratio is and the numbers, but yeah, it's cool to
at the end of the day,
get awareness.
At the end of the day, we're just passing on information we think will improve quality of life. No matter how it does that, maybe you might look at something different. Maybe you might look at a food product and think, oh, does it have seed oils in it?
Yeah.
Or you might go to the gym or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever we can offer, whatever you get out of it, I think will be of use. And at the end of the day, it gives us fulfillment. Like, we're talking about stuff, we're learning more as we talk about it. So
yeah, because we'll just talk about new stuff going forward that we learn, new studies that come out, new studies, that we find, and our experiences. So, and then just share that with the world. So, I don't know. We've been going here for, a little while. If you want to cut it here.
Yeah, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, we can wrap it up here. But yeah, that was the Essential Matters podcast, and we'll be coming back to you with more health, more wealth, and more knowledge.
I think going forward, kind of how the podcast will lay out is this is kind of an introduction podcast, kind of like our backgrounds, stuff that we've been doing and stuff we'll be doing going forward. But the podcast in the future will probably be centralized around a certain topic. So, for example, one podcast may be about cooking, maybe food. A podcast might be about exercise, stuff like that, just focusing on a certain topic and everything we know about it, stuff we'll research and try to acquire the most information to give you guys for that topic.
Yeah, and our experiences,
Yep.
With that topic and everything that involves that. But yeah, so that's the Essential Matters podcast. Thank you for
so
watching,
much.
And subscribe if you want to see more.
Yeah. All right. Peace.
Bye.